Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 59 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on April 20th, 2021. How you folks doing? You having a good week so far? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing okay. Very busy. But hey, that's how we like it. And oh my goodness gracious, so much exciting stuff this week. Gosh, and you know what? And even guess what? After work today, I actually shot a 20-round box of ammo through a cheap Sightmark magnifier on my M16. Yeah, that's right. Sightmark magnifier looking at an EOTech on a transferable machine gun. I can't even say it with a straight face. No, the humanity. I can feel you cringing at home. I guess future Jay, when this podcast is published tomorrow, can hear you cringing. That's okay. Look, I actually happy to report that magnifier was pretty good. It's a little ugly and a little too low, but hey, thing worked. I had some time after work, so I thought I'd maybe try it. It was sitting on top of my safe, and I said, hey, I talked about the other day how, I wanted to try out a magnifier behind the EOTech. I was like, man, I have a magnifier. It's just, I got it from Sightmark back in the day, and I was like, well, I guess I'll try it. It didn't look too bad. So yeah, just shot 20 suppressed shots in a burst through the old M16 there. The handy old M16 transferable. I wanted one of my coworkers there, to hear a suppressed machine gun for the first time. I said, hey, you ever heard of machine gunning? He said, no. I said, well, I guess that means you haven't heard a suppressed machine gun. He said, no, I have not. So, the silencer was something he had definitely never seen. One remark was, wow, that's still kind of loud. And I was like, yeah. It's not like the movies, right? He's like, yeah, it's not. I was like, yeah. He's like, it was cool, though. I was like, it is cool. Super cool. This guy that I was shooting in front of, he's hunted a lot. And sometimes we hunt deer together. And he's a good guy. And he's wondered, where can you get silencers? I mean, I know one place you can get silencers. Silencer shop. That was a smooth one, right? You like that segue? That was a smooth one. The J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop, the most efficient and intelligent way to purchase silencers. As a silencer consumer, they are not only my dealer of choice, but they are my infrastructure of choice. No, and I'm serious, man. Silencer Shop has done a lot for the NFA, I guess, industry in general. Okay, the system that they've created minimizes the likelihood of errors in your paperwork, and they even invented the QR code that goes on the Form 4s, so the ATF can scan it in. And those folks working for the ATF, they might not exactly, be good at data entry sometimes, and so they can go ahead and scan this little barcode here, little QR code, on the Form 4 that Silencer Shop created, and boom, data entry errors gone. Pretty cool. There's a reason they've grown. Silencer Shop has grown because of this, and they continue to innovate. That's what they do. They have a network of dealers nationwide where silencers are legal. You use their kiosk and their services. You cut down in, all the errors that are possible. You just cut down on them. It's just a lower incident of errors. Okay? It simplifies your silencer purchasing process. And think about it, man. One-stop shop. Silencer Shop is a one-stop shop where you can do everything from buy a silencer, buy a tax stamp, form a trust online, digitally sign your Form 4, all from the comfort of your own home. You sitting on your couch, boom, DocuSign. That's right, my friends. DocuSign. You just sign it on your couch. It's rather great. You submit all your biometric and your personal data, through their kiosk there. It's really great. All the personal information is stored safely. It's encrypted in their systems for easy access when you need it for your forms. You never have to hassle with ink or fingerprint cards or anything like that when it comes to buying a silencer, when you use them. So you got a money back guarantee. You say, hey, I waited for the silencer for a long time, and I don't know. I don't know about the silencer. Well, Silencer Shop, they're going to do their best to make it right. All right. I mean, frankly, I kind of wish they'd been around when I first got into the NFA game. It's super easy, man. You head to their website, you search for products you want to buy, and when you're ready to make a purchase, the online tools they have let you choose the dealers in your area that they're gonna hold your silencer for you as you go through that long wait. And if they're cool, they'll even let you shoot it while you wait. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. It is. It's rather genius. I wish I thought of it. It's something that does. I was going to say something that keeps me up at night, but let's not be dramatic here. But I do envy. You know how sometimes when someone just comes up with something, you're like, oh my God, I should have done that. But you didn't. They did. So, don't get hung up on it, but use it as motivation. I tell you what, every time I think about what they did, I'm like, dang, dude, it's not even that complicated when you think about it. But like the big scope of it is like extremely complicated. So you're like, oh, well, mad props, I say. It's amazing, frankly. What a genius idea. Anyway. But sometimes there are other people that try hard. How is that for a preface to this next ad? The J Situation podcast is also brought to you by PEW Science, pushing the silencer industry forward one test at a time. This guy tries hard too. He's okay, this PEW Science guy. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating, the simplest and the most accurate hearing safe ratings for your suppressed small arms. These sound ratings, I just want to make sure you understand this. On pewscience.com, the suppression ratings that you see there, they are based on true human sound perception. This is not make-believe time. This is real time. This is true human sound perception, and they correspond with that in a relative fashion, okay? If the rating is higher, the silencer will sound better to your ears. If the rating is lower, it will not sound as good to your ears. And that is the universal truth of the suppression rating from every review you see on pewscience.com, okay? That is the name of the game. That is like, if that's all you remember from what I'm telling you right now, you're good. That's all you need to know, fam. But if you want to learn more about the actual suppression rating and all the nitty gritty, it is in section 5 of the silencer sound standard on pewscience.com. That standard walks you through gunshot noise, and it's sort of like Wikipedia, but it's cooler because it's about silencer sound. There's 7 parts. They're all on pewscience.com for you to read. And you know what? If you haven't seen the silencer sound standard, dude, that's totally fine. It's like no big deal. You can, just skip to section 5, check out the suppression rating so kind of get your bearing, as it were. And, it's going to let you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to the sound of the muzzle and of the shooter's ear. And it gives you a hearing safe dose limit for the particular platforms on which the silencers are tested. And again, it's tied to human perception. The rating is higher, it's better. If it's lower, it's louder. That's all there is to it. You're not going to find this information anywhere else in the world. I have looked. Trust me. That's why I made it. I invented this for you. We needed it. And now we can use it. It's really neat. And I tell you what, when you look in section 6 of the standard, you see all the reviews. You go check them out at pewscience.com. There are all those detailed reviews there. And if you don't, let's say, oh, Jay, that's way too much information. I don't have time for that. What, you want me to read encyclopedia articles? I say, okay, I understand. Say no more, fam. You go to the PEW Science ranking section, section 7, simple database tool, lets you sort and view the suppression ratings for all the publicly released test data all in one place. And there are links to individual reviews in the database, so you can go wild to your heart's content and dig in as deep as you would like. And as always, this is very important, if you are a manufacturer of silencers or weapon systems, and you would like to use PEW Science for private testing and consulting services, hey, there's a form on the website which with which you can submit that inquiry, your contact information, and all the test data that we would generate for you as part of such an effort would be held in strict confidence, unless, of course, you would like us to publish it to the world, in which case we can help you do that. We have a platform on which to do that at pewscience.com. We have done that for several folks already. A lot of the data you see on pewscience.com is internally funded PEW Science data, but some of it is externally funded, part of R&D programs, and the owner of such data has allowed publication. So that's what you see. It's kind of cool, right? I think it's cool. And you can support this podcast, the J Situation Podcast, and PEW Science, and the testing we do at PEW Science by joining at pewscience.com. And also, you give the podcast a good rating there on your podcast provider. You say, hey, podcast people, podcast man, this ain't so bad. You say, oh, well, they think, gosh, a lot of people sure are listening to this podcast. A lot of people sure do like it. That must mean that silencers are cool. And they would be right. Silencers are amazing. They are one of the coolest things that you could enjoy probably as a human being, I think. Just put a silencer on a gun and shoot it. What a time to be alive, I think. That's hearts and minds, guys. I always tell you that, hearts and minds. We got to normalize this stuff. Everyone needs a silencer. It's going to be just a great place to be. I got 4 topics for you today. It's been a long day, okay? You're like, I couldn't tell. No, you could. 4 topics for you today. First topic, new public research supplement coming this week. Yes, that's kind of weird, right? Public research supplement. We'll get into that. Topic 2, new sound signature review this week. Oh, you have been waiting, and it is coming. That is good news for you and for me. Topic 3, listener questions are back. That's right. I continue answering them. Yes, continue, because goodness, we have been continuing over quite a few episodes now. We're getting through them. More of your inquiries will be addressed. Topic 4, welcome to all the new PEW Science members, and thanks for your support. All right, let's move into topic 1 at a time of 12 minutes and 33 seconds. Oh, man, I think last time I did that in like 13 minutes or so. Getting like 12. See, I'm improving. I'm doing stuff. These first couple topics are going to be quick. I just need to give you some quick updates here before we jump into these questions. So, topic 1, new public research supplement coming this week. Yeah. You may be asking yourself, Jay, public research supplement, you've never released a public research supplement before. Correct, I have not. Most of the time, in fact, all the times before this, the research supplements have been members only. So what's the difference this time? Well, this time, I'm going to be releasing something a bit radical. Not that everything I release isn't radical, but this time it has implications that are going to be very public-facing. In many sound signature reviews, more so than the technical details you've seen in the members-only research supplements. And I'm going to be defining some terms that I think need to be known by the larger audience. So it's very appropriate for this to be public, I think. Yeah. That's not to say that there won't be certain members-only research supplements having to do with this later. It's just that this is, I think, something that needs to be public-facing right now. And I need it to be scrutinized, frankly. Almost, I mean, you could even call it a public peer review in a way, even though it's not really peer reviewed. Peer review is when it's reviewed by your peers. I know that was a really dumb sentence. Peer review is when qualified peers operating in the same field offer constructive critique of a publication. Okay, that's like the loose definition of peer review. The reason we peer review is to make sure that someone's not going off in crazy town and saying things that are like so insanely wrong that it destroys, entire ways of doing things. I'm being hyperbolic, but at the same time, like you need quality control when it comes to general state of practice in various fields, right? I mean, that's why we peer review. Well, the problem with that in the firearms industry is there are no professional bodies that would really offer of a forum in which to do this, that operate with any sort of, regular, I don't know, schedule, or, I mean, it's all just, what is it? It's military that, public never sees. It's internal good old boy stuff. Like, you're never going to see stuff. So it's like, well, I mean, I've just been doing this myself on the website. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. You want to see the best technical data on small arm sound suppression ever generated? Well, okay, I'm just going to make it public then. I don't have time to like go through these weird channels of like, oh, let's see if so-and-so society wants to publish. No, dude, no. It takes too long. It's dumb. So I just say, just give it away, put it on the website, and then, let people judge it there. And if they want to say it's wrong, well, then let them. And they haven't. So there you go. I mean, as I've been doing this, I haven't received any technical critiques from anyone, honestly, at all. It doesn't make any sense, frankly. It's super weird. It's terrifying. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why aren't people saying it? Like, what? It's weird. It's really weird. And I say this as someone who is both a published technical author in like magazines, and like, I'm not talking about gun magazines, guys. I'm talking about like real like engineering magazines and stuff, and like also like in conferences and journals and stuff. Like I've written and I've been critiqued and peer reviewed, and then I've also offered those services. I've been a peer reviewer for research, like and in my field. I'm a guy, and in sister fields, I've been asked to peer review and moderate technical sessions at conferences. Like, I mean, this is like, I'm doing this. Like, I cooperate as co-author and primary author on several studies and things. I mean, that's just, and the fact of the matter is here, this is weird that there's no body for this. So I said to myself, well, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to put it on the website. And what does that mean? Well, that means that I don't have to give the rigor that I would have to give in like an academic journal. Because why should I? Right? I mean, I don't have to do that. I'll just put the results up there and be like, well, this is how I did it. And if you don't like it, well, then tell me why. And here's an email address. Like, it couldn't be more simple, actually, to give feedback. It couldn't be more simple. It's actually easier to critique the methodology and data on pewscience.com than it is to critique data in like a formal journal, because you literally can email tech@pewscience.com if you want. You can literally comment on the articles and every podcast episode on the website publicly. It is the easiest feedback mechanism, and you can tag me on Instagram. You can smoke signals. You can do anything. It's insane, actually. When you really think about it, when you really think about the avenues for feedback that are possible to the research and the analysis that Pew Science has posted on the website, and you think about like what feedback mechanisms are available, it's staggering the amount of avenues that are available. So, I mean, what I'm doing is actually pretty straightforward. It really is. Like, I know it may not seem like it to you, but it is. At the end of the day, it's not that complicated for people who know what this is. It's really not. And that might be part of the reason why you're not seeing a lot of critiques, because it's not that complicated. But the fact of the matter is, it is technical. So I need to show you some things now that I think are important. and present something that I think will help the industry and put things in perspective. So I'm adding some stuff that's more formal now, okay? And I think that what I will present in the right hands will give folks methodology to improve the products that they make, or drive innovation in products they are developing, or dispel myths for performance of these products, or maybe get folks thinking about things in a different way. All of these are, I think, goals that I have for what I'm going to give you. I don't expect it to be perfect and perfectly received, okay? But regardless, what I'm going to present to you this week is fairly significant, and it's complicated. It is complicated. But I've tried to simplify it for you, and there will be questions for sure. I hope there are. There will be questions. People will also throw stones. People will get angry. But it will be there on my website for you to see. It's going to be on pewscience.com, so it's not like... And it's going to be public research supplement, not just members. I guess just the members on this won't have to see ads. You know what I mean? But this one's a public one. And so, yeah, this information is going to proliferate worldwide, as everything else has on PEW Science. You know, the pewscience.com, you look at my analytics, it's not just America, guys. Like, people all over the world are looking at the stuff. I see it. Some of it is VPNs because people don't want to know don't want me to know they're looking at it. Okay. It's like, come on, man. Relax. You think I can't tell? Anyway, but it's like, yeah, there's that, but it's like, it's a worldwide. So so maybe other people worldwide see this and they're like, oh, well, this guy's clearly crazy. And I'll be like, okay, cool. Thank you for calling me crazy. Can you tell me why? And they'll be like, oh, because you didn't do this right, or we know that this is wrong. And I'll be like, oh, that's some information I could have used a long time ago. Thank you for bringing it to my attention now. Maybe we can improve XYZ. You know what I mean? So, hey, no risk, no reward, right? So I'm going to put it all out there like I usually do. Let it all hang out and just be like, hey, here it is. Just like I did with sound signature reviews, just like I did with the Silencer Sound Standard. I put it all on the line, all public for critique. And we are now well past the first year in. And it has stood up to scrutiny. So buckle up. It's going to be an important part of the next topic. Topic 2 at a time of, 22 minutes and 13 seconds. Yeah, new sound signature review this week. You've been waiting. You've been patiently waiting. It's coming. You've been so patient. So many of you have asked me about data for certain popular silencers. So at long last, some of that data is trickling out, and what a perfect time to release it. I tell you what, in tandem with the public research supplement I just spoke about. And the reason I'm doing that is to showcase certain parameters of interest. I had to, I view the data release this week as a package drop. You're going to get a compendium. A compendium of analysis that is complementary, I think, meaningful, informative. I do think that it will be studied and scrutinized and debated and probably talked about for years. Honestly, people in the silencer industry have never been able to show you what PEW Science can show you, and it's going to get real and it's going to get factual, and I think some feelings are going to get hurt. But hey, at the end of the day, I think the data release this week is going to put things in perspective, and I think it's going to make people realize just how certain technologies stack up with real, actionable, meaningful data. And there's not going to be any more guessing. There's not going to be any more speculation. There's going to be data for you this week. It's coming. So stay tuned for that. I have been going hard in the paint with this. Like, you don't even know, dude. Like, you don't even know. What's that Dane Cook? You know Dane Cook, the comedian? He has some really funny bits. I'm moving to topic 3 at a time of 23 minutes and 58 seconds. Dane Cook, though. You guys know Dane Cook? He's a comedian. He tells jokes. They're funny. He not as popular anymore, I guess. He was more popular before. In the before times. Topic 3, listener questions are back. I am going to continue answering these. I really enjoy this, guys. This is actually very rewarding for me. To me, rewarding. This is rewarding to me. This is rewarding for me. I don't know why my brain won't tell me which one is right. Weird. Anyway, this is rewarding. And we're still not finished, which is the crazy part. It's been over a month, I think, since I first solicited questions from you. And so let's go ahead and get back into our spreadsheet here. We are almost done, frankly. Almost, but let's see how many questions we can get to today. Maybe we can finish it out. Maybe we can't, but we're going to give it the old college try, I tell you what. And speaking of college try, did you hear Bryan College Station is okay? First of all, if you don't live in Texas, so there's two cities, they're real close together in Texas. There's Bryan, Bryan, and College Station, which is, I know, sounds weird. It's a city too. They're pretty close together, and they say Bryan College Station because it's like you ever heard the term Dallas Fort Worth? It's like those are two cities, but they're close together. Anyway, so College Station is where Texas A&M University is. Okay, that's where I got my degrees, my engineering degrees from. Okay. So College Station has a new COVID variant, and they're naming it. Excuse me. They're naming it after the region. Actually, good old Texas A&M, man, my alma mater. Aggies don't mess around. We're leaders. Okay, even new virus strains. Okay, so yeah, there you go. All right, let's get to the spreadsheet here. And I am losing my voice today, guys. I'm sorry. I did not anticipate that difficulty. Okay, let's get into these questions, though. I'm going to have some water here. Pardon me. I'm going to try not to. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pause this standby. All right, sorry, guys. I'm back. That was... Oh, man. I don't know what it is. I think I had a lot of meetings today. I was talking all day. Maybe sometimes that happens. Okay, we're going to get... I'm going to open this up. Back to our spreadsheet. Man, oh my gosh, you know what we're on? Okay, well, let's see. Where did we leave off last time? We left off on, oh, that's right. We left off on question 63. And that question was, do you think the PEW Science suppression rating scale is too complicated for the average science consumer? And that was a jokester. That was a jokester. Of course not. Of course it's not too complicated. And then when I talked about why, and that he was alluding to some tomfoolery that had happened in the industry regarding this couple months ago, I think. Some blatant tomfoolery by certain parties, and that was hilarious. But we're going to go over in question 64 here. Question 64, and this is actually a two-parter. I see a number one. That's what I did see. So I numbered the questions, but then I do have sub-numbering. It looks like this is the first of two questions from somebody, a lady or gentleman here. The first question, over-the-barrel suppressor benefits. Over-the-barrel suppressor benefits. Okay, so you're talking about reflex designs then. I think okay, let me think about this for a second before over-the-barrel suppressor benefits. Over-the-barrel. Yeah, so the only time I could think something goes over the barrel, unless he's talking about... no, this would be reflex. It's got to be reflex. So, reflex designs then. Well, let's talk about them. You ask about benefits. Well, let's talk about what they are so people understand. So, there's actually a bunch of them out there, reflex silencers. Not so popular anymore, but there are some, I guess, in current production, maybe, I would say. You know what's one very popular reflex design is from Ops. Ops Incorporated, right? The 12th model, right? The famous Ops reflex silencer. Some of you youngsters may now know it as Allen Engineering, right? Mr. Ron Allen. Oh man, Ron, if you're listening right now, I know you emailed me like 2 years ago when I first started this podcast. I never even talked to you, man. I feel pretty bad about that, actually. I do need to reach out to you. I don't know if you're retired now, sir, or not, but that's on me, man. That's my bad. I think that as I was getting this going, I had the YHM guys on here. I had the energetic guys on here. I had Bowers on here, and I think I should have had you on here, and I've had Kevin on here. So I feel like I should have you on here, and I'm sorry. We should definitely do it. It'd be super dope. That's on me. I should probably actually write a note to myself about that right now. I'm gonna do that. That's on me. So yeah, but I didn't mean that. I feel like I just bummed myself out. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, but back to reflex designs. So yeah, they can go back over the barrel, right? So the way that works is, it's not just that the silencer goes back over the barrel or attaches further aft than the muzzle, right? But it's that what the silencer is doing is it's deflecting gas flow in a way to utilize the extra volume to do stuff if it's done right. Frankly, there are downsides, actually, like being big and heavy. That's like one thing that sucks. Now, there is an upside in that if the mounting is good and the design is good, they can be pretty quiet. But you don't see them a lot these days in new designs because they oftentimes require a barrel mod, right? They're going to have a barrel modification. A lot of folks aren't into that. I mean, frankly, I'm not into that. It's a headache. There's usually a collar on the barrel itself, aft of the muzzle, like aft of the muzzle end. So behind the muzzle, there's a collar on there, and it needs to interface with the reflex design so you maintain alignment, as you can imagine. Okay, so like back in the day, as it were, one thing that I found was super interesting. Is that the baffles in the Surefire rifle silencers, as you see them now, pretty much, like the SOCOM series, for example, the baffles in those silencers and the method of construction back when they were doing those, they sure did look similar to the op stuff. They sure did, man. I was like, that looks just like a Surefire baffle. It's weird. I was like, but I'm not a silencer design historian. I'm really not, and I'm definitely not a patent historian. But Josh Parker, if you're listening, look, that dude, actually Josh could probably tell you exactly which one came first and where the one that came first actually came from too. Like I'm not going to pretend to know that stuff. That's not my expertise. It's just really not. But that I know a thing or two about a thing or two, but that dude's going to know the patent history. And I'm pretty sure that there are particular things in the front sections of the ops silencers and the Surefire silencers that are different. I'm pretty sure like the way the mount, I mean, there's some differences. Now, I don't really need to go into all the differences of the Surefire silencers and the ops silencers right now because it's getting too far away from the original question. But this is interesting, and boy, would it'd be neat to have Ron on the podcast or Barry Duke on the podcast. I don't know. I feel like I might have a better chance of interviewing Ron. Excuse me, but if I had to guess, I don't know. You never know. I've spoken with Barry. He's very nice. He helped me out when I had some issues with the war comp during testing last year. So if those of you who've been listening for a while remember that, Surefire's been pretty good to PEW Science. That they've helped me out, so I appreciate that. They're pretty professional group. So yeah, so to answer your question about benefits, about reflex designs, I say, you guys know, like, I need you to understand, like, a reflex design is just you have volume behind the muzzle to interact with. Okay, so there are benefits if that design is good. If you're able to send gas back there properly and efficiently in a way that it's going to work for you, well, then the design will work well. But I mean, otherwise they're married to this barrel, and so that you have what you have. And I mean, if it's an awesome design, I mean, you could theoretically save total length by using the volume back over the barrel to do some great stuff. So you're like making it shorter, rather a shorter overall package, which is excellent, right? That is one huge benefit potentially. But that's only if you know what you're doing, and it's only if it performs better than a muzzle mounted silencer of the same of comparable length, total length, right? So why in the heck would you use a reflex design unless you needed to because it was super awesome? I mean, unless you really know what you're doing, it's not going to work well. So then it's going to suck. But the op stuff works. I need to test it though for science. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, sir, ma'am. It's a good question. What are the benefits? And those, I guess, so in summary, the benefits would be high performance in shorter length, potentially. But with the caveats that there are drawbacks like weight, proprietary barrel, and possibly poor performance. Not to mention alignment if your design sucks. Okay. Let's go to, and this is the question 2 from this person, question 65. Excuse me. Question 65, same guy or woman. Man, thank you for the wonderful questions, sir, ma'am. Data on adjustable gas blocks is what they're asking. So so his first question, or his or her first question was 1, over the barrel suppressor benefits. 2, also data on adjustable gas blocks. Data on adjustable gas blocks. Well, okay, adjustable gas blocks, and data. Well, what can I say about this? Okay, well, I will say, in the 556 testing, I'm going to need to tune one of the hosts, so you'll get that data in that you will know that the host is tuned for the adjustable gas block, right? You'll know how it is tuned. Now, depending on the host that is tuned, it's going to be exciting or not exciting. For example, with a gas insensitive host, like the 11.5-inch mid, that is an 11.5-inch barrel AR-15 with a mid-length gas system, meaning there's like barely any dwell time because the gas port's so close to the muzzle. There isn't a huge adjustment range with the gas block to make the silencers work correctly on that gun. And I have explained this several times, but it's because of the short dwell length, okay? The gas port is very close to the weapon muzzle, and because of that, the time at which the gas port is under pressure is relatively short, so the pressure time curve seen by your bolt carrier key is relatively short. So the area under a pressure time curve is called impulse. Remember that. You got to remember that's what impulse is. So it takes a certain amount of impulse or area under that pressure time curve to move the carrier back enough to actuate the cam and unlock the bolt. This also happens with a piston gun. Same thing. Same thing happens with the piston gun. The piston needs to be subjected to enough gas impulse from the gas port to be able to move the carrier back and unlock the bolt. So when you have a very short dwell time, you need to get impulse in some way. So you have to enlarge your gas port. Okay? Adjustable gas blocks let you open and close or grow and shrink your gas port at will. As you can imagine, depending on the dwell length of your gun or the distance between your gas port and your barrel muzzle and the back pressure or flow restriction of your silencer, which adds dwell time to the gun, various levels of adjustability of your port size are needed, right? So, I mean, you're going to have to make your port different sizes, frankly, depending on some factors. Now, as far as gas blocks that would be good for that, adjustable gas blocks that would let you do that, one such gas block would be the one made by Superlative Arms. It can keep your gas port fully open, or it has a bunch of settings that progressively close it. It does all that. we call this restricted mode with a superlative arms gas block. We call that restricted mode. Now, the superlative arms gas block is also special in that it not only is it a restricted mode gas block and that it can make your port smaller, it's also a bleed off mode gas block. So if you open the gas block enough clicks, and there are a lot of clicks, if you open them enough, you get all the way open, right? Which reveals the full orifice size in the gas block, which is probably bigger than the port on your barrel. Okay? So if you keep opening the superlative arms block, if you keep opening it past that point, the gas block actually reveals a vent in the screw mechanism. And so in those further unscrewed positions, of which there are also a bunch, not only does it have your full port diameter open, it actually starts to vent some to the atmosphere, not just to your gas tube. You feel me? So you can imagine that there's a balance point that ends up occurring, right? In which the amount of gas that passes into your gas tube from the port during bleed off mode is the same amount of gas that is passed through in restricted mode. Theoretically, the peak impulse will be similar. So theoretically, you can move your bolt carrier group back with the added impulse and unlock the bolt and cycle your weapon. Okay, I don't know if I glazed over that, but there's a nuance here that those of you who are not understanding bleed off gas blocks, I need you to really pay attention. And I know this is hard because it's complicated. I'm going to try my best. If it's confusing, it's my fault. But I'm going to try my best. Let me say this again. So, restricted mode, you open up the gas block all the way in restricted mode to the last restricted setting. What does that mean? It means like your gas port is a circle in your barrel, right? The adjustable gas block port is another circle on top of that circle, right? And it's all the way open. So everything's open. It's as if you don't even have an adjustable gas block. It's just like a normal orifice, right? Pretend you understand that part? Okay, cool. We're on the same page. Cool. Now, with the superlative arm, with some gas blocks, you can't open it any more than you already have it open, and open is open. And as you can imagine, the same thing is with the superlative arms too. It's not like you can open it more than you could before. It's not like you can make your gas port any bigger, but what it can do if you keep opening it is it starts to bleed gas. And when I say bleed gas, it's venting directly to atmosphere at the gas block, so it's like shooting gas out into the air. That's what that means. When I say open to atmosphere or bleeding, what I really mean is shooting gas into the air. I know that's like a non-technical way to say that, but I want to make sure nothing's getting lost in translation here. So, okay, that's what the bleed off part does. Now, what I said before I was going to go on here, what I said was theoretically, there's a balance point in here, right? To where let's say you have a certain orifice size of gas, like let's say you have, like my gun, when I had 6 clicks open, right? I had 6 clicks open to work with the Helios QD TI on my 11.5-inch mid with a Surefire OBC. 6 clicks open is not a lot of port size. My port was really tiny. So what does that mean? Well, for the dwell time of that system, the dwell time of a CGS Helios QD TI on 11.5-inch mid is like equal to, the strict dwell time would be equal to like 1 in, like it would be like the time it takes for the bullet to go from gas port to muzzle, but then you're adding a silencer, so it's going to artificially increase that. And the Helios QD actually has quite a lot of back pressure, not a super lot, but it does have some. So that's going to add dwell time. So I only needed a certain port amplitude or port size, gas amplitude to my gas port or port size for that dwell time. The port size governs the amplitude. The dwell time governs the duration. The area under that pressure time curve is impulse. I get a certain gas impulse to my carrier key from a CGS Helios QD on an 11.5-inch mid with 6 clicks open. That's that dwell time, okay? Okay. Now, if I wanted to get that exact same impulse, that exact same area under the pressure time curve at my gas port to unlock my bolt with bleed off mode instead of restricted mode, so instead of the tiny gas port that I made with 6 clicks open, instead I wanted to use bleed off mode, what would I have to do? Okay, well I would have to open up the gas port all the way until I get to bleed off mode. Now I got a huge port, so I'm like over gassed to the gills. So then what do I have to do? Well, I don't want to send that much gas. It's too much. It's too much gas. It's too much gas. I got my dwell time still short. No problem. No problem. But guess what? My amplitude is sky high, sky high. I can't have that. It's going to break my gun. It's going to overfunction. It's not going to work. So what do? Well, I got to bleed. So then I keep backing it up. It bleeds, 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 bleeds. When is the breaking point that I'm bleeding so much out of that bleed off port that I'm getting the same gas impulse through my gas tube as I was with the restricted mode? Because, when you're bleeding, you're like you're sending the full bore, you're sending full bore flow area into your gas tube, but you're also bleeding. So you have to bleed off so much that you're lowering pressure at your gas port. So it's as if you've restricted your flow orifice, but you haven't. So what does that mean? What does it all mean? Okay? Because I know you're tracking with me now. Because you're like, oh crap, that's different. I'm like, you bet your butt it's different, buddy. Restricted mode and bleed off mode are completely different. It is not a 1-for-1. It is not, I'll trade you this prisoner for this prisoner in time of war. No. It is not, I'll give you the Snickers for this Milky Way. And who would do that anyway, because Snickers rules? No. The answer is the shape of the pressure curve is going to be different. You bet your butt. You bet your butt the shape of the pressure curve is going to be different for the bleed off and the restricted mode case, even if it has the exact same gas impulse. That pressure curve is going to be a different shape. It's going to be front loaded. It's going to be front loaded when it's bleed off. You know how I know that? Let's talk about it. Okay, first of all, the orifice size. Your gas port, it's not occluded at all, home slice. Your gas port is not occluded at all, dude. It's full bore open. So gas is going to go into it at a high flow rate, at whatever flow rate it wants. Now, it's also going to be pouring out of the bleed off port. So how does that differ from restricted mode? Well, in restricted mode, you're going to be dumping gas into your port, but at a slower rate. And it's going to keep coming because that's the only place it can go. It has no choice. It has no choice. It has to go inside. It has to go, so it does. So bleed off would be a pressure curve to your bolt carrier group that is a steep rise. It's going to go huge flow, but then a fast decay because it's dumping too. Restricted mode would be a slower rise with longer decay. So the area under both the curves could theoretically, if you could bleed enough gas off in bleed off mode, both the curves could theoretically be equal in area under the curve. So the peak magnitude of gas impulse, the peak area under the accumulation of area under the curve would be equal, theoretically. It could theoretically be equal, maybe, for your gun with silencer, maybe. But when does that peak impulse actually happen? When do you accumulate enough impulse under the pressure time curve to unlock the bolt in each mode, restricted versus bleed off? Well, and are they different enough to change the kinematics of the bolt? Are they different enough to change the kinematics of your bolt? If you front loaded your pressure curve with bleed off mode to get the same impulse as your restricted mode, would the recoil be sharper because the bolt velocity might be higher due to dynamic increase factor of loading it more quickly? Possibly. Yeah, possibly. I think bleed off mode makes your bolt velocity higher, fam. That would mean that you would want a heavier buffer to resist that, right? If you're, what happens if you have a higher bolt velocity? Well, you want inertial resistance. Well, how do you get that? Mass. That's the only way to get inertial resistance. It's literally in the name, inertia. It comes from mass. So F equals ma, remember? So yeah, and you're venting gas too. So what? You're sending your bolt at a higher velocity back. You're venting gas. It's going to dump. You know what? It is going to dump less waste gas from the gas tube into your receiver. So theoretically, you get a little bit cleaner. But at what cost? At what cost? I mean, suffice to say, do whatever you want, dude, but I don't use bleed off on this. I use restricted mode out of principle, frankly. Bleed off seems crude. Seems crude to me. It's on my gun, the one I just shot today with my coworker, I told you guys before, restricted mode leaks a little just due to the high pressure on that gun, but bleed off is going to dump a lot to atmosphere, homie. And I actually should measure the difference in sound signature between the bleed off to see if that jet is actually impacting the sound signature. But I tell you what, man, I didn't want this to talk. I didn't want to turn this answer to your question, sir or ma'am, into a superlative arms gas block discussion. But I tell you what, right now, like, you're asking data on adjustable gas blocks. I don't even know what you're asking. What do you mean data on adjustable gas blocks? Like, which ones like have different orifice sizes? Because you can figure that out yourself. I mean, you can call the companies. Maybe you were asking, am I going to give you test data for ARs with like different gas block settings? I don't think you were asking that. I mean, using context clues here, your first question was asking over the barrel suppressor benefits. Your second question, also data on adjustable gas blocks. I think what you're asking is, how in general can they affect the system? And I think I've gone over that pretty well just now, plus on the previous podcast. So I hope this helps. I mean, I think you have a good question. I think you have a good topic. I just don't understand exactly what you're asking about when you ask for data on adjustable gas blocks. What kind of data are you asking for? Do they work or not? Well, they work. Yeah, they're mandatory for silencer users, frankly. You don't need them. You know what? That's not true. If you have a silencer and you have an AR and you know exactly the gas port size you need to tune it, well, then you don't need an adjustable gas block because you don't need to adjust your gas because you know the exact gas port. But good luck getting that exact size without trial and error, dude. Like, that's why I don't understand why people don't like adjustable gas blocks. They're like, oh, I heard they fail. I'm like, cool. Why don't you buy one and test it then? I've never had one fail. Why? And what's going to fail? What, they're going to stop being able to be adjusted because you didn't turn them enough when you cleaned the gun to like cycle and make sure that the moving part could still move? I'm sorry. Does the gun still work? Yeah, so relax. Like, I don't know. Like, what? Oh, you think like maybe... I don't know. What else can happen? If the screw... Okay, here's a catastrophic failure scenario for you. If the screw on a superlative arms gas block blew out and the detent failed and everything, and then like it was literally not... It was just bleeding all the gas out and like not functioning your weapon, yeah, that's a bad day because your gun doesn't work anymore. But, I mean... How does that happen? Has that ever happened? Has anyone ever documented that happening? I don't know. Talk to Superlative Arms. Maybe they have failure data for you. So I don't get it, man. Like, I feel like adjustable gas blocks are like super smart. I mean, can you imagine being able to like dial in? And there isn't any particular reason why like I picked the Superlative Arms gas block except the wide adjustment range. Like I said, I don't use the bleed off mode. I just like it because it has a lot of clicks in restricted mode. Okay, so I don't... Those gas blocks are like 3 settings. That's so stupid. I never understood that. It's like, make more settings, dude. Like, don't... What, you think consumers can't use it? Fine. Write an owner's manual. And I don't know, dude. I'm just getting frustrated right now because I'm just like, and myself, I'm like making these arguments you ever like argue with yourself sometimes? Yeah. I don't know. I don't get it with it. I don't know what the mystery is with adjustable gas blocks. I feel like there's so much information out there. Maybe just, you know what I think it is? I think there's a lot of misconceptions about adjustable gas blocks because I don't think people know how the Stoner platform works. And I don't think people realized that the way the Stoner platform works is you need enough gas impulse to your freaking carrier to move it back so you can actuate the cam to turn your bolt in the barrel extension and unlock everything and move. I don't think people understand that. I think people think for some reason the gas system is like a mystery thing that shoots gas into the receiver. And it's dirty, so let's get a piston instead. Like, that's the arguments I've heard. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that's the worst freaking argument for a piston system I've ever heard. Like, why would you want a piston over direct impingement What? Because it gets there's some dirt going in. There's some dirty stuff going in the receiver because of the gas. That's why. Really, you're going to completely redesign the system. Add a moving part. You're going to add moving steel to the front of a gun because you don't know how to keep the bolt closed long enough with a gas column in a tube, and like the extra gas that shoots out of your carrier when there's extra volume after unlock, like that's breaking the bank for you. Your system sucks then, and you need to one, figure out better tolerances, two, figure out better coatings, three, get your lock time right and get your chamber pressure under control, sir. Four, just maintain your weapon. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know all these people who say, yeah, the piston guns last so much longer. It's like, do they? Or do you just not know what you're doing with your direct impingement gun? How long does a Knight's Armament SR-15 last? That's direct impingement. Why isn't that failing? I wonder why. I wonder where Eugene Stoner worked. Okay. In the last days. So anyway. Come on, man. Like, this is getting out of hand. Like, I don't understand this adjustable gas block question, but I mean, whoever you are, thank you for asking about it. I don't know what you're asking, but I hope that gives you everything and more you need to know. Okay. Let's go ahead and go into question 66. Will 5.56 suppression ratings include rapid fire data? These questions are getting a little tough. Will 5.56 suppression ratings include rapid fire data? Well. This is actually an interesting question. It's not. First of all, how are we doing on time? 56 minutes? Okay, we can keep going. This is an excellent question. It's a really good question. But the nature, I'm trying to think how to answer this. The nature of the suppression rating is to give you an average shot dose rating, okay? So you can understand loudness on a level playing field between a lot of different weapon platforms, okay? So in that respect, the horizontal axis of the suppression rating chart is your rapid fire gauge. If you exceed the shock dose, it doesn't matter if you're doing it slow or fast necessarily, like to a point really. So there's some very technical reasons why that might not be true. And so maybe that's why you're asking this. I can only assume that that's why you're asking this. So there is actually something we can do. We can do fully automatic bursts or strings of fire. You can gather the entire waveform, the entire full auto waveform, and then we can analyze that waveform. We can get a suppression rating for that string of fire. A discrete suppression rating for that string of fire. Then what we would do is we would get the amount of that type of event you could deal with the dose chart, I guess. Like, so hear me out. So theoretically, you could extrapolate it and say, well, if my suppression rating for those bursts or an average for those types of bursts was 25, then go use 25 on the chart, and you could replace the word shot on the chart with bursts, and it would still apply. Makes sense? I can tell you right now that if you do a 30-round full auto mag dump, you're going to be dosing yourself with many shots, and the suppression rating for a 30-round mag dump out of a suppressed 5.56 weapon system with a loud silencer might be very low. And if you understand that the suppression rating is a time-dependent dose parameter, like, you just need to, like, I think you understand that. So, like, does this make sense? I hope this is making sense to you. Like, I think it's an excellent question. You're asking, will 5.56 suppression ratings include rapid fire data? It's like, well, it has a shot dose, dude. It has a shot dose. So what's rapid fire? You're going to shoot your 30 shots rapid fire? And you got 30 shots. You shot a mag or two, right? Okay, so you're done. If your rating falls there in that dose range, you're done. Better put on yours. You know what I mean? So, so it's an excellent question, sir, ma'am. I mean, And if you guys want to see full auto bursts measured with PewSoft, I've done it before, and I actually have data on that already. I can show you that. So it's neat. It's cool, but I don't know what it gets you. I don't know what that gets you any more than the suppression rate does. Okay, question 67. Do suppressor wraps significantly reduce the service life if it can? Very interesting question, sir or ma'am. I have not done that study at all, actually. I have also not inquired to silencer cover manufacturers about it, frankly. And theoretically, heat can influence the life of a silencer, but we would have to determine how exactly it's influencing it. Now, for example, let's say you fired 60 rounds through a 5.56 AR-15 through a silencer out of a 10-inch barrel relatively rapidly, okay? So in semi-auto, maybe once per second or two, maybe one full 30-round mag. Then you dropped your mag, you inserted another one pretty quickly, and you kept firing. Well, then if you looked at a certain part of the silencer and you measured its temperature, and then you plotted that temperature over time, the graph would then have a line that would be increasing gradually until, then it would get pretty high, but it might get straighter or flatter depending on the silencer, or it might keep increasing. Then, when you stop shooting and you were still looking at the graph, then the line would eventually start to trend downward as the silencer cooled, right? And eventually, if you let it sit there long enough, it would cool down to the same temperature of the atmosphere around the silencer, and then the graph would look pretty boring, right? And so like the rate at which the silencer cools has a lot to do with the materials of which the silencer is made, as well as the external environment, right? So, so let's pretend you picked up that silencer again and you went to shoot it before it had cooled off all the way. Okay, well, now your temperature's going to come back up pretty quick. You're just shooting it. So you're shooting it again. It's like, oh, it didn't have a chance to cool? Well, temperature is going to come back up pretty quick, right? This seems simple enough. Well, now let's pretend instead you have a silencer cover on the silencer. Well, and it's wrapped around it. Let's pretend the silencer cover is made from material that's not going to reach ignition temperature and just burst into flames, which can totally happen if the silencer cover sucks. So then, okay, so you have your good silencer cover sitting on there. Now you shoot the gun. Does it get hotter faster with your 60 rounds? Maybe not. I mean, if your rate of fire is fast enough, your silencer was going to get hot faster than it could cool in atmospheric ambient temperature anyway. So it's probably going to get hot just as quickly, all other things equal with the cover on it, okay? Now, when you stop shooting, it's a different story. Now, in order for heat to escape, it has to escape through the front cap or the back of the rear surface, but it certainly is going to have a bit of a hard time escaping from the surface area of most of the silencer because you have a cover on it. So now you wrapped a blanket around your silencer, and you're keeping it nice and cozy. And if your silencer is okay with that temperature, fine, that's cool. But let's say you go shoot it more. It hasn't cooled off as fast as it would have if it didn't have the cover. So is that bad? Well, it depends on the silencer, frankly. And if your silencer is all titanium and it's gonna behave in a different way after being above a certain temperature, man, if that's the case, then you might start to have a problem if the silencer isn't able to cool down during hard use. That might be one case. Now, I'm speaking in general terms because I obviously can't answer this question without testing. But yeah, to answer your question, if your silencer is temperature sensitive, like in the regime of operation of your firing schedule, a silencer cover could impact the service life when compared to a silencer that is uncovered. But I think that is probably only going to be the case with temperature-sensitive silencer designs. And even then, you're going to have to subject it to a particular firing schedule. And we would need to look more into this, I think, to give you a definitive answer. This is not a simple answer. Anyone who says, no, absolutely not, is wrong because they're not thinking. Anyone that says that, oh, yeah, it's horrible, well, they're also not thinking because there are a lot of variables here. So this is complicated. We can figure it out. This is actually not really complicated to figure out. We just need to understand the parameters in your use case. And then we can tell you. And when I say we, I mean me or us or the industry or, silencer cover people that have tested or, whatever. But you just gotta measure. This is not something that's alien. It's just, you got to know what you're talking about. Hope that helps answer, and thank you for the question. That was a good question. I think I've heard that question before from people. So I think a lot of people probably benefited from that, sir or ma'am. Okay, let's go to the next question here. Do we have time for like one more at least? I'll do a couple more. Oh, okay. Ooh, here's a fun one. Question 68. I'm going to get a drink of water for this one. Oh, man. What are we doing on time? We're a little over an hour in. I'm actually blown and going. This is actually great. What a good time I'm making. It's probably because it's like I'm just like so fatigued from the day that it doesn't even phase me anymore. I'm running on adrenaline. Okay, so this question 68. Do you think? Okay, let me preface this. These are sent from Instagram, so they're going to use some Instagram vernacular here. Do you think @TheMute Official will ever send you guys a unit to test? Okay, so they're asking about a silencer company called The Mute, and they have a silencer called The Mute. I want to say it's some kind of polymer flow-through design. So this is new, marketed. It's probably not real. Like as far as it might be a real product, but it's probably not like. It's probably experimental, I would think, like from a marketing perspective, and it's not really like super great. Like I don't know. Your question is, I'm just giving some background, but the question, sir or ma'am, is do I think they're going to send me a unit to test? Absolutely not. There's no way, dude. Like that's not. There's no way those guys would ever send me anything to test, unless they understood that I could probably characterize it better than anyone else and actually show that the thing. I could probably show that it's not completely worthless. If it's not, I would be the one to be able to show that. I promise. But they're not going to think about it that way, guys. And okay, so you're asking me, do I think they're going to send me a unit test? And I'm elaborating and telling you why I don't think so. It's because I don't think they realize that PEW Science could probably help them. They're looking at this purely as exposure and like to get people to talk about it in a good way. That's like what marketing does. They're not thinking about like actual like performance-based evaluation. So what they're going to do is they're going to most likely do their best to market it with no real data, because then that way like they'll probably sell more of them. You know what I mean? Like that's what I would guess. I would guess that. That's what I'm guessing. That's my supposition. Now, I actually, frankly, and this might make some people angry, I don't really have a problem saying it. I don't take products like that seriously. Like I don't. And I'm actually comfortable saying that, because I feel that products that may put consumers at a safety risk are not something that should be products. And I have a pretty hard line about silencers. I'm pretty serious about this. I've seen some stuff lately in the public on social media and Reddit and everything. I've seen some stuff that I'm frankly a little upset about some of this stuff, and I think it's important for consumers to know that if a company is making manufacturing a silencer out of some kind of polymer material and they advertise the use of that product on high pressure rounds out of a firearm, I want to see real test data from a real test lab to know if I place that dynamic pressure vessel on my gun. Make no mistake, a silencer is a dynamic pressure vessel. If I put that dynamic pressure vessel on my gun, I'm not going to blow it up and kill the shooter or kill the person next to me. This isn't a game. And frankly, I'm a little tired of people thinking it's a game, because these are people's lives, dude. And there are real silencer companies out here with real engineers doing real design. And when those companies find deficiencies in their products, they do a recall, dude. They do a recall. Why do you do a recall? Well, you do a recall because you understand that if you put a silencer on a firearm and that silencer fails, the potential failure mechanism can kill the operator or bystanders. That's why you do a recall. You don't have to look hard, guys, for this. Like I don't even have to name names. This is you don't even have to look hard for this happening. Silencers come apart, dude. There are some companies who know their silencers can fail, and they know there are deficiencies in manufacturing materials, and they don't even tell consumers. And they let the silencers out there, and they don't say anything until the silencer breaks or rusts or comes apart or breaks into shrapnel and embeds itself into the shooter. And they say, oh, yeah, well, we know that can happen. It's like, that's ridiculous, dude. It's not okay, dude. It's not okay. Frankly, if there was a governing regulatory body for this stuff, like, those people would be fined. But there's not, dude. This is the gun industry. Like, what? So, yeah, back to your question. So, do I think the mute folks, and you know what? These guys could be super nice. I don't know them. I don't know them from Adam. I don't know who these people are. Do I think they're going to send me something to test? No. I'll tell you what. Let me change your question. Do I think that people making products that are potentially unsafe, if they're designed incorrectly for a use case, do I think those people are going to send said products to an independent test lab for evaluation? I hope so. I hope so. That would actually be the right thing to do to see if their products are safe. PEW Science is not a destructive testing laboratory. I am not a safety lab. And that is not something that I've been doing, but I tell you what, it's not that hard to do. Actually, they can actually do that themselves. Maybe they have. That's the real thing to think about here. Maybe they have done this. I mean, you would think they have. Maybe they've already pushed the failure, so they're confident they're not going to hurt anybody. That could be. I don't know. I don't know. I do not know. I really don't. You cannot assume. You can't. But you would want to think, right? You just can't assume, especially with something like this. Now, if these folks want sound signature testing and characterization and behavior and performance characterization, I am here. And everybody knows where to find me, and they know where to find me. No problem. So, and I'm not seeking that out. I don't think that's something consumers need to be concerned with. That's my personal opinion. I don't think you need to concern yourself with this right now. This is not something that should be on your radar. You're going to pay $200 tax stamp for this? No, you're not. Come on, man. If you're a consumer, you're not. This is a publicity thing. This is not. You're not buying a polymer rifle silencer with a $200 tax stamp and you waiting 9 months to a year. You're not. You're not doing that. This is either a proof of concept, a marketing or publicity stunt, or they're going to drop 3D printed plans for it to get publicity for Form 1 guys. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just speculating, but like, this cannot be serious. Like, you do not need to, like, just don't worry about that stuff. Don't worry about this stuff. Don't like ask me, oh yeah, let's look at like, you know how many silencers there are from like people who make silencers that work? Like, don't try to cut corners. And this is another thing. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry to capitalize on and answer your question, sir, man, but I have another thing to say about Form 1 stuff. And I really love the Form 1 community, but I tell you what, I've been getting questions about certain Form 1 kits and whether or not they're good. And when they call them solvent traps, first of all, which is like, fine, whatever. I'm not going to go into the politics of this right now, but you asking me about the efficacy of literal parts on the internet that you're buying, drilling, and assembling, you're asking me what the efficacy of that is, both in performance and other things. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know if it's going to it could blow up on your gun and kill you. I don't know. People are asking me about certain branded solvent traps sold by major companies. They're like, well, I heard this was great. Do you have any data on them? Like, no. I don't even know if I should even test that thing, because I don't know if I put it on a test dose if it'll kill me or not. Like, what? You guys, I don't know what you're doing. I know people want to save time by filing a Form 1 with eForm 1 and stuff, like with eForms, but... And I know, like, I really encourage tinkerers and people who make their own designs. I think it's so great. I think the Form 1 community is awesome. I think you guys have really advanced, but I don't know what it is with some of this. Like, there seems to be like a Form 1 community that's like all about like understanding how to make the designs better. And then there seems to be the people that are just looking to save money and time. at the cost of safety. And to me, you guys are missing the point. Like, do not look for instant gratification in the NFA game. You're going to have a bad time. You're going to get some, like, whether it's a silencer, a machine gun, an SBR, any NFA item, do not look for the fast and easy, because you're going to have a bad time and you're going to be sorry. You're going to regret it because you're going to waste your time and money. You're going to pay $200 tax. Come on, man. I don't know what it is with you guys in these Form 1s, man. Someone's going to get hurt. I see some stuff out there. I rarely go on Facebook. Sometimes oh goodness gracious, I'll go in every once in a while, go on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, what is that? And then I'm in some of these groups there that people invited me to, these silencer groups. I open them up. I'm like, whoa. I just close it. I can't look at it. I just can't look at it. It bothers me so much. I'm like, I'm gonna pretend that it doesn't exist. It's like you guys are gonna. It's like the stupid human trick shows. Like, remember that show? I don't know how old you guys are, but remember that show, America's Funniest Home Videos? Bob Saget would get on there. He's a funny guy. He's on Full House. I like that show. America's Funniest Home Videos. Bob Saget would get on there. He's his own comedian. It's really funny. Get up there. He show people getting hit in the head and stuff. It's funny. That's like this, except it's not funny, because like people are shooting guns and like the silencer blowing up. It's like, no, dude, miss me with that. Anyway, I know that had nothing to do with a mute. Well, it kind of does on the periphery, but I thought that was a good time to talk about Form 1 and why I get so many DMs and like questions about, have you tested so-and-so Form 1? And I'm like, no, dude, I haven't. Will I? I mean, yeah, I do want to do Form 1 evaluation for you. I've talked about that in the past, but the vulnerabilities and the liabilities are staggering. And I'm a little concerned about some of the Form 4 silencers I test, frankly, which should worry all of you. Question 69. Let's do one more. How much time we got left? Okay, 1 hour 16. Yeah. Okay, one more question for now. We got a couple more, but we're gonna get through this one more. Question 69. Nice. Why are flow-through silencers getting so much attention at the moment? Seems very unsilencery. See, unsilencery. I don't know who you are, sir, man, but I'm definitely using that one, the unsilencery term. Okay, but in all seriousness, why are flow-through silencers getting so much attention at the moment? Okay, first of all, I'm going to stop you right there, sir or ma'am, and I'm going to say it's not at the moment. They've been getting attention for a while. You might just be noticing a buzz on social media. I can't control that or know why that's happening. I couldn't tell you. But I will tell you, flow-through silencers have been on the radar of certain entities for quite some time. I can tell you why. The military, the United States military, and probably others, are concerned with people getting cancer from combustion products coming out of the injection port of overgas weapon systems, and more so when suppressed. Okay, because the military doesn't want to tune guns for silencers because it's hard and expensive. And so if you can make a silencer that works just fine on a gun or doesn't change the operation of the gun at all, and it's quiet enough, then you have a viable product. You got a viable product selling point, right? To then engage the military and meet contractual requirements if they exist. If there is a need, you will satisfy the need. If there's not a need, create the need. Whatever you want to, tail wag the dog, do whatever you want. But I'm just saying, you asked. So look, that's the reality. The reality of this, guys, the reality is there is a threshold. There is, and this is very important for you to understand, there is a threshold of sound suppression performance or suppression rating you can reach with low flow restriction or low back pressure. There is a threshold. There is one. That is a physical manifestation of gas restriction and turbulence. This is a physical fact. There is a threshold. Now, that threshold, it just so happens that products that reach that threshold, they just so happen to be silencers you can put on gas sensitive hosts and not create undue adverse influence on the operating system. That is one way to term these type of silencers. So yeah, they can work in that way. I mean, but they're only going to be able to reach a certain threshold of sound performance. Understand? Like, you can only do so much. You can do this. You just can't do it. You can't have everything. It's always a trade-off. But we're getting closer and closer to something that can be okay-ish. Does that make sense? So they're just never going to be quiet as certain designs because of physics. They're just never going to be, and there's a limit. And oh boy, howdy, there's definitely a limit. Has PEW Science found that limit? Look, PEW Science has tested silencers that approach the limit. I think maybe have we. I think we might. I don't know. I mean, okay, that's the question, right? The question is, have we tested silencers that approach the limit of how quiet a flow-through silencer can be? Maybe. I mean, we've tested some stuff, and you're gonna have have some data very, very soon, and it's gonna be very interesting. It may illustrate to you just how quiet something can be with that barely restricts flow. It is quite interesting. What's the limit? What is that limit? We know it. We know there is one. What is it? I don't know. I'm gonna show you data. We'll keep testing, and who knows? Maybe there are some super smart folks out there that can push the limit. Maybe the information I provide you will help those folks push it. I know there's a song in here somewhere. I can feel it. It's like 90s. Push it. It's like, isn't there like no, it's like a couple different songs. I don't know. That's the goal of technology, right? The goal of any technology is to push it forward. That's literally what I'm trying to do. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and highlight topic 69. Nice. All right. I'm going to highlight that. And we're going to come back to the next ones later. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save this spreadsheet. I'm going to close it. I'm closing it right now, so I'm not tempted to go back because there were some ones I just saw. I'm like, ooh, maybe I should go to those. We don't have time. Okay, so I hope that was informative. I really like doing that for you folks. I hope that's informative for folks. I'd never be afraid to ask questions. I'm probably going to solicit some more questions soon. Again, I love doing that. I think it's a great part of the podcast, frankly. I would appreciate your feedback on that. Okay, I'm going to move into topic 4 at a time of 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 42 seconds. Welcome to all the new PEW Science members, and thank you for your support. Ooh, and boy howdy, yes, some of you joined. Boy howdy, man, not just consumers, dealers. I tell you what, that's right. Ooh, and I'm gonna name some by name today. Frankly, welcome to the new dealer members of PEW Science. Who we got? Prestige Arms Worldwide. You ever heard of them? They out here. They're in Arizona. Welcome. Very, very good people over there at Prestige Arms Worldwide. Very good people. We got Bear Arms out of San Antonio. Welcome, sir. You've honored PEW Science with your help and support. Thank you. And you know what? We even got Texas Ordnance Depot. Shout out to Jimmy Bell. Powerful Jimmy Bell. Jimmy, you got to come on the podcast. Yeah, I know you wanted to come on. You've been on my podcast. That's right. You've been on my podcast a long time ago. The first few episodes Jimmy was on. Jimmy Bell. Powerful Jimmy Bell. Yeah, he used to work for Silencer Co. He has a company called Texas Ordnance Depot. Sponsors PEW Science. In that he is a PEW Science member. Texas Ordnance Depot is a PEW Science member dealer. So what those guys do, Bear Arms, Texas Ordnance Depot, Prestige Arms Worldwide, even Meplat Group in Louisiana, Susquehanna Valley Firearms. Oh man, I'm going to forget some. There's several dealers in the United States who are members of PEW Science, and what they do, they are using PEW Science data directly to help consumers with sales. Can you believe that? Like, this is actually real. Like, this is gun counters, dude. This is like people at gun counters, real gun counters, interacting with consumers across this great country using PEW Science to communicate true sound signature data to those consumers, to help those consumers make informed purchase decisions. to get the correct silencer for their needs. Can you imagine? It's happening. Oh my God, it's the dream. That's what I wanted to happen. It's happening. So that's happening. Imagine that. Everyone's using it. Everyone's using this. Isn't that cool? And these guys join to support so they can do it. They can help. And you other dealers can too. If you want, join PEW Science, and then you can use the data to help your consumers. We all do it together. It's really cool. Imagine that though, man. Imagine dealers using real trusted data. And you can do it. You can use PEW Science data, pewscience.com. Join the silencer industry data revolution. Thanks to PEW Science. Thanks to Silencer Shop. Thanks to our members. Thank you to our clients. Thank you to all of you listening. We're doing it, fam. Respect. Stay tuned for data this week. It's going to be awesome. I'm a little nervous, but excited. Talk to you folks again soon. Bye.